Somewhere in the deserts of Central Asia over 2,000 years ago, an entire Roman legion disappeared. Not defeated, not surrendered, not destroyed, gone. 6,000 Roman soldiers, the most elite fighting force the ancient world had ever produced, vanished from every Roman record, every historical account, every map. And then 2,000 years later, on the other side of the world, in a remote village in western China, archaeologists found something that should have been impossible. Evidence that Rome had been there. This is the story of the Roman legion that vanished and somehow ended up in China. To understand where this legion went, we have to go back to 53 BC, to one of the worst military disasters in Roman history, the Battle of Carrhae. Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, and a member of the powerful First Triumvirate alongside Julius Caesar and Pompey, led an army of 40,000 Roman soldiers into the territory of the Parthian Empire in modern-day Turkey and Syria. Crassus was hungry for military glory. Caesar had Gaul. Pompey had the Mediterranean. Crassus wanted his own conquest. He wanted Parthia. It was the worst decision he ever made. The Parthians lured the Roman army deep into the open desert, where their famous heavy infantry formations were useless. Then they unleashed their secret weapon, horse archers, fast, mobile, devastating. They surrounded the Romans completely and rained arrows down on them for hours. The Roman army collapsed. Over 20,000 soldiers were killed. Another 10,000 were captured. Crassus himself was executed according to legend, by having molten gold poured down his throat. A fitting end, the Parthians thought, for a man who died chasing wealth. But here is where the story gets strange. Among those 10,000 Roman prisoners, one group was never accounted for. One legion, approximately 6,000 men, simply disappeared from all historical records after the battle. Most of the Roman prisoners captured at Carrhae were sent to work in the salt mines of Margiana, a remote Parthian province on the edge of the known world, in what is now Turkmenistan. But historians noticed something odd. When Roman and Parthian records were cross-referenced, the numbers didn't add up. Thousands of Roman soldiers were simply unaccounted for. No record of their death. No record of their enslavement. No record of their release. They had vanished. For centuries, this was considered just a gap in the historical record. Wars are messy. Records get lost. People die unrecorded. Historians moved on. Then in 1955, an Oxford historian named Homer Dubs made a discovery that changed everything. While studying ancient Chinese military records from 36 BC, 17 years after the Battle of Carrhae, he found a passage describing a battle between a Chinese Han Dynasty army and a mysterious foreign force. The foreign soldiers, the Chinese records noted, fought in a strange formation the Chinese had never seen before. A formation where soldiers locked their shields together into an unbreakable wall and moved as one. The Chinese called it the fish scale formation. Historians recognized it immediately. It was the Roman testudo, the tortoise formation, a signature tactic used exclusively by Roman legions. Homer Dubs dug deeper, and the more he looked, the more pieces fell into place. The Chinese records described the mysterious foreign soldiers as tall, with deep-set eyes and unusually colored hair. They built their fortifications using a technique the Chinese had never encountered: double palisade fencing with wooden barriers interlocked at angles. Historians confirmed this was a distinctly Roman military construction method. After the battle, the Chinese didn't kill these strange foreign warriors. Instead, impressed by their discipline and fighting skill, the Han Dynasty commander absorbed them into his own forces and settled them in a new frontier town. That town was given a name in Chinese records: Lijin. Historians believe Lijin is the Chinese phonetic approximation of legio, the Latin word for legion. The town of Lijin still exists today. It sits in Gansu province in western China. And when archaeologists began excavating the area in the early 2000s, what they found left the entire historical community stunned. Skeletons with European bone structure, Roman-style artifacts, and local villagers with green and blue eyes and blonde or reddish hair in a region of China where such features had never been recorded before. The modern village of Liqian, formerly known as Lijin, sits quietly in the Gansu corridor of western China, a remote, dusty town far from the tourist routes. Few outsiders had ever paid it any attention, until researchers noticed something extraordinary about the people who lived there. In 2005, a Chinese and Italian research team conducted DNA testing on villagers from Lycian. The results were remarkable. A significant portion of the population carried European DNA markers, genetic traces that pointed to Mediterranean ancestry, Roman ancestry. One villager, a man named Kai Junian, became internationally famous when his photograph was published. With his green eyes, light hair, and distinctly non-Asian facial features, he looked, as one journalist noted, like he had stepped directly out of ancient Rome. Kai Junian himself believed the stories. He told reporters with complete seriousness that he was descended from Roman soldiers. His neighbors said the same. The legend had been passed down through generations. But how did Roman soldiers get from the deserts of Parthia to the frontier of China? That question leads us to the most remarkable part of this story. Here's the theory historians have pieced together. After the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC, the surviving Roman soldiers were taken as prisoners by the Parthians and marched east to the frontier provinces. There, rather than being killed or enslaved, they were used as mercenary soldiers. Rome's military training was simply too valuable to waste. For the next 2 decades, these Roman soldiers served various Central Asian warlords and rulers, being passed from one master to the next as the political landscape of the ancient Silk Road shifted and changed. By 36 BC, they were fighting for a Zhongnu warlord named Jiji on the very edge of the Chinese Han Dynasty's territory. When the Chinese army defeated Jiji, they captured his Roman mercenaries along with everyone else. And instead of executing them, the Han commanders settled them in Lijian, at the far end of the world, over 4,000 miles from Rome. These men, who had marched out of Rome as soldiers, survived one of Rome's greatest military disasters, crossed the entire ancient world as prisoners, and mercenaries ended their days farming land in western China, building families, passing down stories, and leaving behind a genetic legacy that would last 2,000 years. Not every historian is convinced. Some argue the DNA evidence is inconclusive, that the fish scale formation could have spread through trade and imitation rather than direct contact, that the European features in Lycian could have other explanations. The debate continues to this day, but consider this. In a small village in western China, people still celebrate a festival each year where they dress in Roman-style armor, carry shields, and march in formation. A tradition so old nobody can remember exactly where it came from or why it started. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's cultural memory, or maybe it is the echo of soldiers who marched out of Rome 2,000 years ago and never found their way home. Some stories are stranger than legend, and history is full of them. If this story blew your mind, you haven't seen anything yet. Subscribe to Twilight of Nations, because history is full of secrets they never taught you in school.